state is a fiercely competitive and ruthless society.
And now, After Hours with Rixx Javix.
Welcome to After Hours with Rixx Javix. I'm your host, Rixx Javix, coming to you from the darkest reaches of low-security space, live from the Stay Frosty Lounge. Grab a cold drink, light a cigar, and let's talk. I'm getting a little bit of fuzz on your microphone, but not too bad.
That's probably the facial hair fuzz on the microphone.
The facial hair, right? I have a facial hair filter I can use probably. So, all right. Okay, so why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself to everybody in case they don't know who you are, and then we can go from there. How's that sound?
Well, I'll be disappointed that anybody that listens to you doesn't know who I am, Rixx. That's rather uncool. Yeah, I'm Spanky Ikkala. I've been playing on and off for about 8 years. You know, I did the usual thing. I kind of dabbled for a few weeks, and then went, oh my god, this game's just far too difficult. Stopped playing, came back a couple of times, and then I came back just under 4 years ago, and kind of stuck with it since.
Excellent. Well, good. I mean, it's glad that you stuck with it. It's amazing how common that story is. A lot of people that I've talked to. Gabriel, a few of the others have all told the same kind of story. They came on for a couple of weeks and then lost interest and then came back to it later.
It would be better if CCP had some kind of analysis at the start where you fill in a questionnaire and it goes, no, the time is not right for you, little one. Come back in 6 months, grasshopper.
Right. There's some kind of a logarithm that could tell us when we're prepared to play Eve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Do you have a real life?
Right. If you have responsibilities, please don't play this game.
How attached are you to your current partner?
Exactly, or your business or anything else. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So, I mean, I guess if people do know you, it's probably through Eve University. And so, tell us a little bit about your involvement with Eve University, what that's all about.
Yeah, I don't actually know how I got into Eve University. I think it was my my mate who kind of persevered with getting me into Eve. He suggested, look, obviously you struggled last time. Why not join Eve-Uni? Because they are specifically designed to take a brand new player that doesn't know anything about the game and then hopefully spit them out 6-8 months later knowing a little bit more about the game. So my intention was to go and join Eve-Uni for a few months and then leave and find another corporation, and I've been there for the last coming up for 4 years.
Wow. Is that a real-life friend or somebody you'd met on the game?
No, it was a real-life friend.
Oh, that helps. That always helps.
Oh, yeah. And it was one of these ones that he was around my house, we installed the game, and then, you know, he sat over my shoulder shaking his head and going, oh my god, what are you doing?
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Eve University's been around probably longer than any of the other current rookie I guess that's probably unfair to call it a rookie training corporation, but I mean, that's kind of what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's really good to see the newer ones coming along. You know, whether it's Pandemic Horde or whether it's I know RVB does some training or University. You know, to see people going, actually, we need to provide more training to people rather than just come along and we'll give you some hints and tips. I think that's fantastic.
Right, and a Brave Newbies started that way. You know, it's kind of a lot of that came out of a direct response to one of the expansions, which seemed to have brought a lot of new players into the game.
Brave who? No, they're to be honest, we've done stuff with Brave in the past, and like any training organization, you know, they're a really good bunch of people that are, you know, focused on helping other people access the game, and that's always good.
Yeah, we even started a rookie training corporation up in a band apart called Vagrant Skies, which is doing really well. So it's not in any way intended to be huge or anything. It's more of an entry point for our pilots, but it's doing really well. So I'm very proud of those guys. I think the more of that we can get, the better. And then hopefully with CCP Ghost coming along, we can get some new player experience things changed in the game too.
Interesting enough, Eve-Uni have a I don't know if prototype's the right word, embryonic new player experience program that a few people are trying. Excuse me. Sorry, that's something that needs to talk about later. It involves website access, videos, and it's stuff that I know Ghost is very, very interested in.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, I think it's great that CCP are finally going down this way, but obviously it's a little bit disappointing because 3 years ago we were saying to CCP, look, you need to get away from what you currently have. You need to go to something that engages people and is more story-driven rather than game mechanic-driven. But it's fantastic that they're heading down that way. It just seems, you know what, guys, it could have been a bit quicker.
13 years later.
And I think it's one of these things that, where it's like, as anybody in a training organization, it's critical that we get people quickly. And the longer we wait, the more people slip through the net and never experience Eve long enough to stay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I support that as well. I mean, I think that pretty much the entire run of the 8 years that I've been playing, I've been saying the same things, and trying to advocate for it. I've proposed different things and tried to talk to people about it, and I know that lots of others have as well. I'm not taking any credit for anything, but it's an obvious hole for any of us who have jumped in, especially those of us who probably have jumped in at multiple times across. You experience it different times, and you're like, hey, it's not gotten any better. And there could be so many things that could be done to help trap those people.
Yeah, there is obviously something somewhere that's going on, whether it's a breakdown of communications or just not hitting the right note. But there are certain things that CCP does, and you go, okay, what problem were you solving with that change? Prime example, the current camera. I've not heard many people who think it's a vast improvement over the old one. I can understand updating it because the legacy code wasn't great. Well, that's fantastic, but you've taken away an awful lot of usefulness that people found. And then there's other things that they don't seem to address that seem to be really critical to players.
Yeah, I think the camera's a great example. I don't know that there were a lot of people pounding drums for it, right? It just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. I mean, all of us who are, people who are doing videos and other things have always asked for, greater control over the camera. But I don't know where it just sometimes seems strange where these things pop up out of.
Yeah, definitely. Almost like you imagine there's an element of CCP going, right, we've got another release coming up. Who's got stuff that's ready to go?
Right, yeah. Who's been working on something at home that they can bring in? I've been working on a new camera. Oh, yeah?
That'll do, yeah.
That'll do. We can add that to the bullet point list, right?
Look, stop everything. Everybody make this camera work by next week.
Exactly. And I don't know that there's not some truth to that. So, whatever. I mean, the game's been going on for almost, 13 years now. So, they're doing something right. It's just that I think all of us take a great deal of pride in our participation in the game and in the community, and we want more people to love it, I guess. Like any geeks who obsess over a niche, right? We just want everyone to love us and to understand our insanity, I guess. And the more the better.
I guess it's a little bit like finding an amazing book that's a hard read, that once you read it and you get it, you want to show everyone. You want other people to read your book. You want other people to get the same pleasure out of reading the book that you've got. And I think EVE Online's the same.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's that very obscure, 37-chapter anime series that no one's ever heard of. And you sat through all 37 chapters, and the last one was like, whoa, you blew your mind. Now I just want to share it with everybody, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely an apostolic, evangelistic kind of an experience, I think, where, that's how it works. Holy crap! Yeah, I didn't know, and I'm excited about that. So, well, that's good to hear. I mean, you think Eve University is still doing well, and still growing?
Yeah, it's still doing well. It's still growing. I mean, we obviously have the issue that our intent is to train people up, and then not so much kick them out, but find them a more permanent home. So it's like anywhere, you always end up with that massive churn, and as soon as you end up with subject matter expertise, it goes somewhere else. And focuses all its time on doing that. So yeah, we've obviously got the issues with remaining current and keeping people motivated. And actually, there's an element of seeing the new training organisations out there. That's a challenge to us, and I think it's good to encourage people to say, look, we've been the only training organisation out there, really, and over the past few years, there's a bit of competition, for want of a better phrase, so we need to up our game, and I think that's always good. That's
competition's always, that encourages everybody, I think, to step up to the plate. There's a lot of people like yourself who decide to just stay on, I guess. It's always hard to...
Well, it's more the fact that just the rest of EVE Online scares me, whereas I can actually
right.
I can actually ship spin and teach classes and do real world management stuff, and I don't get blown up and I don't die horribly. And it's just so much easier.
Right. Okay. Well, that that's definitely and that's great too. That a scaredy cat like yourself can find a place even in an EVE combat game. So
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. That's good. Well, I guess that brings up the next thing that you're involved with, which I'd like to talk a little bit about, which I think maybe a lot of people don't know as much about as they do about Eve University, and that's Broadcast for Reps. And you could tell us a little bit about your involvement with that and how that came about.
I was going to say, I think with my time on presenting at 2 FanFests ago and Eve TV on this FanFest, people would have been sick and tired of hearing me going on about Eve-Uni and Broadcast for Reps. Broadcast for Reps was something that came out of Brave Newbies. Coffee Rocks was and Kigali were the two people that kind of initiated it, and it basically came about as a mental health peer support group in game in the Broadcast for Reps channel, and it's now kind of grown wings, mutated, and kind of evolved considerably beyond that. So not only is there Broadcast for Reps in game, there's Broadcast for Reps on Tweetfleet, there is Broadcast for Reps on Slack, and then there is now an overarching charity organisation in the real world called Spam for Heals, which is almost overarching all these programs. So Broadcast for Reps, Best of Us for the military veterans, Care for Kids, they're all under the Spam for Heals global charity umbrella.
Okay. And that Spam for Heals too is still a Eve-driven thing, correct, or not? Is it a larger organization?
It's Eve-driven, but it's now extending beyond the boundaries of Eve, and it's now starting to catch other games. I imagine that when the World of Warcraft movie comes out and Warcraft becomes fairly active again, or has a massive influx, that things like that will get involved as well.
That's excellent. Good. I mean, I've supported Broadcast for Reps from the beginning, and I mean, it's a great idea. It has a lot of resonance for me as well with 2 not so younger children who are now starting to come up and wanting to play Eve as well. And so it's always been and I do a little bit of work with Jonas over at Care for Kids too, as far as producing things for him and trying to help spread the word for that as well. So they're great and extremely worthy causes that need as much support as they can possibly get.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we discussed quite a lot at FanFest this year on Eve TV. Had a bit of a chat with CCP Guard, CCP Antiquarian, another couple of people on camera about the fact that CCP gives us the game, and it's the players that turn it into the community, which is so much more than a game could ever be.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're just kind of rubbing it in. That's like the 3rd time you've mentioned FanFest, and the fact that I wasn't there, so I take that.
Oh, weren't you? Sorry, I didn't see you. Unless were you that guy in a black T-shirt that needed a shower? Because if you were, I pretty much did see you,
No.
and your 2,000 clones.
No, you're still the you hold well, it will never be broken, because you were the first person the first Eve player I saw in Iceland. So, because I bumped into a few people at the airport, but we'd missed each other when we landed. So when we came into the laundromat, you were the first person. Well, it was hard to miss you because the back of your shirt said Spanky Ikkala on it, so it was hard to miss. But,
see that's my fault for sitting with my back to a door. I'm never going to pass Special Forces College now.
No, it's probably good if you'd never undock again. So if you're gonna,
I don't undock. It's just too dangerous. Certainly not on my main.
Right.
Hey, I've just got a super secret alt in a nullsec alliance, and that's interesting.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Have you done that before, or is that the first time?
No. This is my first time in Solved Null.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I've done a little bit of time around in nullsec with covert ops and black.
Well,
ops
sure.
And stuff.
Right. But it's the first corporation.
Yeah.
Do you do that a lot? Do you find, or creating alts and trying to experience different parts of the game, or?
Probably more so than I should do. Yes.
Yeah. That's I did that when I started, and I've kind of not done that. I've whittled my. I used to have 4 accounts with multiple alts and everything, and I just kind of got rid of those over the years, and it's just me and my freighter alt now on a single account. So I don't know why that was, but I haven't really had that urge to do that.
Yeah,
myself.
I think a lot of it as well is money, because I was up to 4 accounts at one stage, and then I was down to 2, considered going down to 1, and then I've slowly crept back up. But it's like, I think there comes a time, especially when you get that little bit of Eve burnout and you need a couple of weeks off, that you just go, you know what, I'll just unsub that account, and then a couple of weeks later it goes back on.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's always a hard thing to fight too. Is that, I mean, I've been having that struggle myself over the last couple of months, real life and other. Well, I mean, just between, and I'm sure you find this too, because with your involvement, and not just in the game, but in the community itself, that's like 2 games going on at the same time in a way. You've got your in-game commitments, and then you've got this huge ball of community commitments that you have, and the balance between those 2 things is very difficult sometimes for me, and I'm sure you find that as well. I mean,
I think especially with social media, you can never get away from the community commitment, because if I need peace and quiet, I can shut Eve down, but there's nowhere I can go where someone's not messaging me on Slack or
right.
Facebook
or Twitter
or
right.
something like that, or someone saying, look, I need to go to bed, there's a guy in this channel that needs help, can you pop on and have a chat? So yeah, you can almost never get away from it, but sometimes you just need to force yourself to look after yourself and make sure you don't become, for want of a better phrase, a victim yourself.
Yeah, no, I never did this before, but recently, probably the first time was about 4 months ago, I purposely left my phone at home when I left somewhere, like on a weekend or something, just to go 4 or 5 hours without my phone attached to me, because it beeps all the time.
Blokes do that as soon as they get that question off their missus that goes, have you been talking to other women? Then they leave their phones lying around just to prove that they've not.
Right. That probably works. I should ask Liz if that's something she's ever snuck a look into it and see. She'll sometimes look at me funny and go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, there's some kid in California that's that needs." Well, that was a couple weeks ago. Just out of nowhere. Something will pop up. Somebody needs help, and I'll have to see if Coffee or one of you guys are around to see if you can help them. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that's really great about the community is so many people, and I think maybe gaming is a little bit more in tune with that than perhaps than say sports fans, for example. I don't know that there's a lot of communities like that for sporting fans, but perhaps there is. I don't know, but just to be able to reach out and help people, I think that's one of the things that's so great about what we have in Eve.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think in Eve you see the best and the worst of people. So, like I say, whether it's Spam for Heels, Broadcast for Reps, Best of Us, something like that, where the community is supporting each other, or whether it's Eve University, where you've got all these people basically paying to teach other people how to play the game and not paying themselves. And then you've got Eve on Reddit, which is almost the other side of the coin, which is, the worst side of humanity sometimes, that calls itself part of the Eve community.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfair, I guess, for us to not consider that side of things when we're talking about the Eve community, right?
And Twitch chat as well. This idea that the fact that you're not standing in someone's face gives you the right to be abusive is pretty damn weak.
Yeah, excuse me there. I had a very large spider just walk out onto my desk, and now it's missing. And so I'm going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes in constant fear that it's going to jump on me out of somewhere.
Don't worry. When you're asleep, it will come and dry hump your mouth.
Right. Or isn't that's an urban myth, I hope, that we swallow a certain number of spiders?
No, I think it's about four a year or something.
4 a year.
I don't know. Can we say dry hump on your blog, or does that need to get cut out?
No. We can say whatever we want. Mature audiences only. Some adult situations. Nudity. I don't know if you're wearing pants now or not. Luckily, there's no video along with this. So.
Are we talking American pants or UK pants?
UK pants. What, is there a difference between the two pants?
Well, yeah, because American pants are what we call trousers, aren't they?
Trousers, right?
Yeah,
right.
I am definitely wearing trousers.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. At least my mental image of you is better now.
I didn't say I was wearing them on my legs.
You're just wearing them somewhere, right?
Yeah, as a scarf.
Well, is there something in Eve you just put it all in Nullsec Corporation, so that brings up, is there something left, what's left in Eve that you would like to try that you haven't gotten around to yet?
I think it's less stuff that I want to try and more stuff that I want to like but can't.
Okay.
I would love to enjoy PI, but I just can't.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You look at it and you go, It's a little bit like SimCity. It looks like it should be so exciting.
Right.
And every time, it's one of these ones, every 6 months I make an alt, I train up for PI, I try it again and go, this just sucks.
It's not gotten any better.
And it's just such a disappointment. And I'd like to be better at PvP, quite frankly.
Right.
But that just comes down to practice.
It is. It's all about practice. And
at the moment, my PvP is somebody else's practice, and I'd like to change the ratio a little bit.
Right, and maybe turn the tables a little on that. Yeah. It does take practice, that's for sure. That's one of the weirdest things, coming back after a break, and I've had a few of those lately, and trying to get right back into it. It either one of two things happens: either the rust is so bad that I just get slaughtered a bunch of times, or I do extremely well, and I don't understand the difference between those two things. But that's PvP in general. I don't understand the difference between the two things a lot of times. So
I think it's like people say that there's more to it than just going in and hitting keys. I think if your frame of mind isn't right, that has an impact as well.
I totally agree. I think that what I've discovered especially over the last 6 months, because everything's been very, very chaotic and extremely stressful in my life for the last 6 months, that a lot of times I think Eve is going to be a distraction from the real world, and I should take a moment, log on to Eve and play, and then I'll forget about. And what I find anyway, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, is that a lot of that crap that's going on in your life follows you into the game, and it's impossible to let go of it, and I end up sucking at whatever it is I'm trying to do, and just making things worse. So the realization I came to was I should just not log on while I'm feeling that way, and wait till I'm in a better state of mind, and has greatly improved my experience in the game as well.
Yeah,
lately,
I think
so.
that's it. Is like you say, I think a lot of people use the game to escape and then realize that actually they just don't feel any better in there because their mindset is different, and they're not in the right place. And that's one of the things that Broadcast for Reps helps a lot with. We get people who come into the game, and this could be their only escape from. And you know what it's like. You chat to some people. There are people out there who are having really, really horrible times.
Yes.
And this is the only bit of, I wouldn't even say joy and happiness. This is the only, Eve could be the only bit of their life that isn't sucking big time.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what I find too is that, and that's an escape for them. And whether it's an escape from real life or stresses or their parents or whatever it is they're experiencing. And then to make things worse, something horrible happens in the game. They lose a freighter or they get ganked or something happens that they don't understand, and that brings everything home really, really quick. And that confluence of events is sometimes a little bit too much for people to handle. Don't you find that a lot? I mean, it's usually some kind of an in-game event that's triggered them to ask for help or to reach out to somebody.
Yeah, quite often. And I think the other thing is people forget that when life is stressful, they don't have much in the way of natural resilience. So the things in game that they normally would have been able to deal with, they just can't deal with. And like you say, they'll come into the game just to escape, to have a bit of a play, and all of a sudden they lose a ship in a silly fight, or somebody gives them some abuse in local, or that something's happened in their corporation that they're not happy with, and that's just too much for them to be able to handle. They just don't have the resilience for it. And they just feel like their one safe place is falling to bits. So yeah, it can be really difficult for people.
Yeah, and what's left? If I lose this, what do I have left? And that's a very desperate moment. And I think we've all, at least skirted around the edges of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do what we can to help people, and that's the benefit of those of us that go to FanFest, is to actually be able to bump into people and talk to them in real life and meet them. Oh, sorry, you weren't there, were you?
Thank you.
But hey, in your defense, you had more important things to do.
Yeah, and we fully intended to go, and it was a really, really difficult thing to walk away from it, especially the airline tickets that we'd already purchased. But and we're putting on our own event here in a couple of months, so we'll see how that goes. One. While
you're here on my podcast, would you like to advertise that?
Yeah, August 20th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's Steel City Eve, the first annual, hopefully. And it's also my 50th birthday, so my wife wants to turn that into a co-thing, so I can't argue with that. She's very sweet, so we're going to celebrate my 50th goddamn birthday, too. Jeez.
With some Eve nerds.
Yeah. So I'm just looking forward to the next 50 years. I
don't have it. 50 years on this planet, I don't have any friends, so I'm going to invite some virtual friends to my party.
Yeah, it's the saddest thing ever.
But funnily enough, interesting enough, that was one of the things we were chatting about at that place in Iceland that I can't mention. The fact that now that you have Eve Down Under, now that you have Eve Vegas, these things have gone from being small events to large parts of the community. CCP support them the same way they support FanFest, and it wouldn't surprise me if it got to the stage where FanFest numbers dropped from whether it's America, Australia, whatever, and actually Eve Vegas and Eve Down Under grew to become similarly large events.
I honestly think it's part of CCP's plan. I mean, not that they went out and did it themselves, but I think that they'd be more than happy with that. Because I think that the numbers, and I think I've even seen Hilmar say this in an interview at some point a few years back, the numbers that they get for FanFest are just about the maximum amount that they can handle at Harpa and with all the the situation that they have in Reykjavik. So I think that they'd be more than happy to spread that out a little bit. You think if 15,000, 25,000 people showed up in Reykjavik, that would be a big problem for them, I think. So. Yeah, it's a shame, but I mean, it's good that more people are doing it. There's more events popping up all the time, and
you no longer have to travel to Iceland to take part in the key elements of the Eve community.
Yeah, no, and it gives more people a chance, that can't make it to Iceland. I mean, that's a bit of for a lot of people, that's a bit of a stretch. And I was getting into something here a second. I was just with the 50th coming up and all. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I said, I wonder if there's anyone who's playing Eve in a rest home. When I'm 85 years old, am I still going to be doing this? Is the
Good Lord, you kind of hope not.
Right?
When I'm 85, I want to be in a rest home convincing the nurses that I haven't had a bed bath already.
right. I need another sponge bath. I think something's happened here. Yeah.
I got another frigate kill.
Sponge bath for the frigate kill. All right, that might be the funniest thing I've heard today. That's good. Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about or mention? Or
hey, I've always got stuff to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
What's going on?
Well, how long does this podcast last?
It could. I don't know. I went 20 minutes with one person, and Gabriel's was an hour and 45 minutes. So I don't know.
An hour and 45. You know what?
Yeah, that's a long time.
I'm not talking to you for another hour.
But you're not that interesting.
That's
so
just,
we won't.
That's quite frankly.
Gabriel who? Casada.
Never heard of him.
Oh, really? Have you've seen the Pirate Lord artwork that he
did?
He did one of Omer, and he's doing a whole series of those. No,
I'm just disappointed that you're going to talk to somebody for an hour and 10 minutes longer than me. or was he really slow at speaking?
He was not. But
that's fantastic.
Yeah, he had a very interesting life, though, and
I bet
he knew a lot of the same people that I did. Plus, he's in he's in Signal Cartel, so I can't say that he PvP. So I don't know, but I don't know what those people do.
How can you not know what Signal Cartel do? Come on.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing them.
They just hang around wormholes going, "Aren't we great?" or something like that.
That's right, and shoot fireworks at people.
Yeah,
be very, very annoying sometimes.
I'm sure they don't undock either. I'm sure it's just because everything's been explored by now.
Right, what's left to explore?
Yeah.
I mean, are we? Well, that brings up a topic we can talk about. Are we going to get new space anytime soon? Do you think? I mean, where are we going to build these gates, and why are we going to build them? We're going to be building Stargates, right? So where are we going?
Well, are we, or are we going to be building Stargates to replace the ones that CCP let us blow up?
Well, that's a good point. Is there going to be new space or not?
You imagine if someone blows up all the Stargates to Jita.
Right, that would suck. Well, it wouldn't suck for me, because I can't go there anyway, but
well, there you go.
Being -10.
But yeah, I think we need to do something about Citadels. At the moment we can't even target stations, but 50 people with a decent fit ship can blow up a Citadel in a very short period of time.
Yeah, it does seem relatively easy to mess with those. I know we've lost a couple of those. Have you guys played around with Citadels at all in Eve-Uni or? Yeah,
we actually now have a director of structures.
Oh wow. Fancy.
Because when Citadels came out, we thought, this is something we want to have a play with.
Right.
Certainly to look at replacing pauses and stuff and just being able to do more with them.
Right.
Citadels is something we're interested in. Certainly not as a key development, but it's just something.
Sure. It's another game mechanic that you have to understand and add to the list of huge amounts of information that we all need to know how to do.
Dear CCP, thanks for adding stuff.
Adding stuff, right? We just getting used to the old stuff. Well, I find now that with the new release schedule that the other day I logged in and I brought one of my, I can't remember which, but it was an Atron or one of my other ships, and I fitted it up with a fit, and it wouldn't fit anymore. And I'm like, what the heck happened? I have the same things that I've always had. And this is my standard go out and kill people fit. Why won't it wouldn't fit? Something had happened that I didn't even know about. What was it? The warp disruptors changed, right? Somebody said warp disruptors changed. I'm like, well, when did that happen? These things are happening so quickly now. It's so weird sometimes to wrap your head around it, because we used to wait for 6 months or 9 months before anything really happened, and now it's getting hard to keep up with.
Listen, can I just have a quick 2-minute break?
Sure, 2-minute break.
Be right back.
All right. Did everything come out okay?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you notice quite a lot is stuff changes, and then all of a sudden, like you say, your fits don't work, or things that you thought happened in game don't. I was having a conversation with someone today about moving fitted ships, and for the life of me, I was sure that there was a period of time when only a bowhead could carry a fitted ship. And people are like, no, as long as it's got the capacity, a ship will fit inside anything. And I'm like, has that... You sit there going, has that changed, or am I just misremembering stuff?
Right. Oh, exactly. Yeah. No, it was Sunday I was on, and there was nobody in local, and I was sitting on a Stargate, and there was one of those rats, the little red dot. It was just one of them. And I'm like, oh, shoot it. And because there was nothing else to do. And as soon as it exploded, I got a little thing up that said, hey, you just got 10,000 skill points. I totally missed that. I did. I remember the conversation. I remember the conversation like a couple of months ago that this was going to happen, but I totally missed the fact that it was actually in the game. And I'm like, oh hell, I can shoot rats now and earn skill points.
Yeah. Well, as I understand it, with shooting rats giving you an extra 20% skill point,
right?
And it's worthwhile farming SP in as much as having 30 to 40 accounts that you plex. You strip for SP, and you can sell them and make more money than the cost of a plex. So you're profiting slightly on every account you're running just by stripping it for SP every month.
Well, that's interesting. I'm sure somebody's worked out the math on that. That's when skill injectors and extractors came out, and you saw all these charts, and this is how many accounts you need to run to do this, and this is how many skill. There's those moments, and I think skill injectors and extractors is a perfect example of it for me. Is that I know that gameplay exists, and I have absolutely no interest in knowing anything about it. Does that make sense? I just categorize that off and put it in a closet somewhere. Like, I know that there's these things, but I honestly have no idea how they work, and nor do I want to know.
I must admit, I like the idea of, especially when somebody says, I'm taking this fleet out tonight, and you sit there and go, oh, I can't fly that doctrine. Hold on. But if I buy a skill injector, I can.
Right.
So that's really useful. I think it has lots of positives. I think the current numbers, 500 million SP, and 500,000 SP.
Right.
It's great for a new player, but when you start reducing it for an older player, you're getting so little of a skill that it makes very little difference, especially when, as you say, when you start getting older players, we're looking at 30, 40 day trains for some of our skill levels.
Pretty much all of them, yeah. Yeah, and I freely admit that a lot of this is because I'm old. I've been around for 8 years, and Rixx is at 150 or so. I don't even know anymore what my skill point level is because I don't pay any attention to it anymore. It's that bad, and every skill that I train is 27 days or whatever. So
yeah, but remember, you could extract all his PI skill points and turn them into ISK.
Right. I do have Rixx does have Mining Foreman 5. I don't know why, and Frigate Construction 4. Those are really the only two skills that he has. I quickly got onto the idea early on that I needed an alt to do all that. So I was pretty smart, just accidentally smart, because somebody in my corporation told me to do it. And so Rixx really only has a couple of skills that are useless to him. So
I've just spent the last 6 odd months, I guess, training my my main industry all up to do manufacturing, and then realised, you know what, A, there's very little money to be made in this, and B, I don't really enjoy it. So, so I'm up to 3s and 4s in most manufacturing. In fact, 4s in most of it, and I'm probably never going to use that again.
Yeah, I did that once. I took, I think it was 3 months off. This was this was 3 or 4 years ago, and in between corporations, I took 3 months off, and I did. I built ships and did PI. Oh, that was what it was. It was right when Planetary Interaction came out, and so I decided I was going to do PI and build ships. So I bought BPOs and BPCs and mined and did Planetary Interaction for a couple of months to see how much money I could make, and I will never do that again. But it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot, but I have no interest in doing that. And then, I think Planetary Interaction would be much better if there were little armies that came out of the buildings and you could send over to other people's and shoot, like Civilization on planets. It could be a little side game. Yeah,
that'd be a different aspect completely.
Yeah, because some dude's got his mining corporation set up right next to yours, and
you realise CCP will be listening to this, and then all of a sudden there'll be an app for your phone,
right,
where you with monthly microtransactions, where you can buy all these crystals and stuff, upgrade your armies, and go and start destroying other people's PI.
Yeah, I think the key to it for me is that I got to find a way to make VR part of that, and then they do it right. Because they're really on that VR bandwagon right now. So.
I think that's really good. And to get into that niche market, well, not niche market, but to get ahead of it and to be on the cutting edge, I think is really important to CCP.
Well, why aren't we thinking about that for Eve itself? Why shouldn't I? I mean, I think VR for Eve would be awesome. I log on, I put that thing on my head, and I'm in a 360 environment with spaceships and whatnot. It would be pretty darn cool.
But why? Eve's not a flight sim.
Don't really need it, though, do you? But it would just be a neat thing. It's not a flight. I don't know what it is. What is it exactly?
It's a logistics program.
It's a logistics program.
It is. It's all about moving stuff around, and then there's
from one point to the next.
There's a tiny little bit of Warhammer in the middle, and that's about it.
So it's basically A to B, and sometimes D gets in the way.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure VR
would help that in any way.
It would look cool, but I'm not sure it would enhance gameplay, especially not if you're a miner.
Yeah, so more like a VR ship spinner. Oh, they had that at the in 2015 at the. Did they have that at the FanFest this year, where you could put your head in the Megatron? Did you do that one?
No, there was all sorts of interesting VR stuff though.
Right. In 2015, but I think they had one where you could put your head inside of a Megatron. I remember that.
What I thought was really interesting was when you look at where they're going with Project Nova, I could see that becoming a VR game.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's true. From what I've seen of it, I think that could definitely be.
The VR demos they have, which are all about moving around and dodging and ducking, these are all things that could quite easily go into a first-person shooter VR game.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Huh. It looks very interesting, that Project Nova, I think.
Oh, definitely.
It has a lot of potential, I think. I'd be happy with. I think that the more CCP does, the longer Eve lives. That's how I think about it. If the company is vital and doing well and making other games, that's all fine. It just means that Eve's going to stay around longer.
Oh, definitely.
It wasn't that long ago. Coming up when I did in the game, when the talk was Eve was dead and Eve was dying, and that was a big mantra for a number of years there. And I think that
I think it still is, isn't it?
Is it still a thing? I don't know.
I think Eve's still dying, according to.
Is it still dying? It's just funny. I don't see as much of that subscriber number or consistent login. Maybe I just don't pay attention to it anymore. It's probably that.
Yeah, there comes a point where it just becomes an FI.
Yeah, are we doing this again? Is this the same story we're having? You find that too, when the longer you've been around, the more you see the same things happening over and over again. They just sort of come in waves.
Everything goes in circles.
Yeah. Like a whole new crop of people come along and then they ask the same. Does that get annoying to you at all in Eve University when because you've got a whole new crop of people coming in asking the same questions that the last group of people started out asking, and
I hope not, because one of the things I picked up in my military career, because I was a kind of an educator, even though I'm an engineer, I was doing some education roles. Is when you're teaching, it might be the third time you've done it this week or the 50th time you've done it in total, but it always has to be their first time, and it always has to come across like it's their first time.
No, that's good.
So, and I think that's a really important thing to remember when you're teaching is remembering the fact that it is their first time, and all their questions are really appropriate.
That's a very good perspective. I think that comes from being a teacher and me not being one of those. So, I mean, that's a headspace you've got to get yourself into, I guess.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just become an old, bitter teacher who nobody wants to ask any questions. Right?
And to be honest, there's more than enough of them on the forums
there's
and
enough, yeah.
and on Reddit.
True. My goodness. All right. Well, Spanky, I really appreciate your time, and I'm glad you could join me today. And this is a very good conversation, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Anytime, Rixx. It's always nice chatting to you.
Yeah, you too, sir. You
and
too.
You guys take care.
All right, you too, and thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Yeah, catch you in space. Bye.
All right.